Section 4. Modeling NPC and player behavior with state machines. What is a state machine? What qualifies as a state? And how can states overlap? When programmers need to model valid things that an object can do, and how it can change, we use what is called a state machine. A state describes any action that an object is doing. This action is mutually exclusive from any other action within the same machine. The triggers and trigger conditions describe ways in which the object is legally allowed to change. For example, the states of walking and running are mutually exclusive, so they are states of a movement system, and you can move between these states by changing the speed. The condition that is movement speed decides when you move between these states. At some threshold of movement speed, you will be considered running instead of walking. Similarly, dropping below this threshold would mean that you are walking and not running. A state machine is modeled by drawing a graph. The nodes of the graph denote the state. The edges are transitions. The conditions necessary to cross an edge are shown adjacent to it. Here we have modeled a conversation. If all parties model this conversation, then nobody should be interrupted while speaking, as everyone will wait for a gap in the conversation before taking their turn to speak. For more complicated state machines, we introduce the concept of a submachine. A submachine encapsulates part of a larger state machine so that we don't have to conceptualize of the entire machine at once. Here we augment the conversation state machine to include a second part, which models introductions. If you begin a conversation with a party you don't know, introductions are necessary. Otherwise, the preamble step exits immediately, and you go straight into conversation. It is possible for a system to contain several state machines. Though they are disjoint graphs, they may still have an effect on one another. For example, as shown here, it is not possible to carry on a conversation while running. It is similarly not possible to start a conversation when running. Further, regardless of the state of the conversation, any interruption will cause the conversation to end. These state machines both affect the same entity, and they can both be running at the same time. It is often convenient to model a state machine with code. If we were to model our discourse state machine, it would look like this. A state can simply be represented as an integer, but because integers are inconvenient for humans, we assign them a name using a construct called an enum. An enum is a set of constants with the additional feature that it is a defined type. If we use this type as a serialized field, our enum will show up as a drop-down in the Unity inspector as shown. In the update loop, we show how the state machine edges would be evaluated. The case statement will select which procedure to run, and then evaluate any transitions. We have shown the transitions as if statements, and have omitted procedures to save space. However, any procedure would go above the transition evaluations. We have created a demo showing how this conversation would work in the scene named Conversation State Machine. Observe how the conversation state of either party changes as you toggle the Wants to Talk checkbox. When both parties are in the waiting state, checking the Wants to Talk checkbox on one party will put them into the talking state. Since one party is now talking, this will also put all other parties in the listening state. Checking the Wants to Talk box on a listening party will not put that party into the talking state, since someone else is already talking. If after doing this you go to the other party and uncheck the Wants to Talk box, they will enter the waiting state. Immediately thereafter, since the first party is talking, they will enter the listening state. Finally, if you return to party A and uncheck the Wants to Talk state, then both parties will return to the waiting state. For the remainder of this chapter, we will be using the 3D Game Kit Lite from Unity Technologies. You can download it now, but for your convenience, it is also located in the exercise files. This package is available free of charge on the Asset Store and may be used commercially. It contains a number of important systems pre-made for you. We will be inspecting how these systems work, what patterns they apply, and how you may extend them to give yourself a more complete game.